What is up, duelists? Arts and Crafts here, bringing you your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! GOAT format action. Today's feature match, we've got Cooler versus Mickey Cast 1999. As always, both players rated in the top 200 on the Dueling Book GOAT format ladder at the time this match was played. If you've been watching the channel recently, you might have seen that yesterday I debuted the first of what I hope is going to be a new and long-running series of user-submitted video replays. So I did a cool Chaos Turbo Mirror looking at it more in depth from a single player's POV instead of just the general back and forth that we do here on this series. So definitely check that video out if you haven't already. Let me know your thoughts. And as always, if you want your matches featured here on this channel, feel free to send them to me in the comments of these videos, DM me on Discord, Arts and Crafts, same name on YouTube as it is on Discord. And for a chance of getting featured on this channel, and you can show off some of the cool matches that you guys have been playing recently. So with that plug over, let's hop right into it. Cooler here, gonna win that RPS, and is going to choose to go first. We're gonna open up with a Thunder Dragon, so a little bit of chaos action out of Cooler here. Not too surprising. Gonna set a couple back row. No monster though, so a little bit of not capitalizing on the tempo gain from going first here, unless they have like a scapegoat set or something. We'll see if Mickey Cast can potentially capitalize on this. We're gonna get a trap dust shoot though for Cooler, so one of the best reasons to go first is you get to activate a trap dust shoot before your opponent gets to make a single play. And we'll get a little sneak peek into what both players are rocking here. All right. So Mickey Cast out of the field, we see an interesting hand. The dust shoot targets are Sork, BLS, and Zaborg. Okay. So potentially like a Chaos Control list running Zaborg is kind of what my read here would be. Zaborg is often played in like warrior lists, but usually you don't see Sork in warrior, so it makes me think it's more like a Chaos Control teching Zaborg and maybe has some more tribute fodder like Mystic Tomatoes or things like that. Decent hand otherwise too with MST, a Jar of Greed, and Nobleman. Jar of Greed really good in a world with Trap Dust Shoot because it's essentially a blank card that your opponent's not going to know about. Cooler's hand here, we see the double Thunder Dragon, and they also have a Rhoda and a Chaos Sorcerer. So potentially a little bit of Chaos Warrior out of Cooler here. So two interesting lists so far. We'll get a little bit more insight, of course, as these players continue to play, but excited to see how these two decks interact. If you're Mickey Cast, though, your Sork is nowhere near live, but you can definitely grab a Dark off of this Rhoda, so you're not in super jeopardized here. Call of the Haunted on Thunder Dragon is definitely something that you could see come out. And I guess at this point, you probably just send back BLS, right? Because none of the cards are live, and BLS is just kind of the most powerful monster. So yeah, I think that's probably the play. And that's what Cooler's going to do. And now your opponent's hand is pretty bricked for now, but they're going to be able to see an extra card off of this Jar of Greed, and they do have some action otherwise with the MST and the knock. Cooler here, gonna have to know to play around this knock. So good that you got the intel off the dust shoot. But if you're playing more of like a warrior-centric list, knock is usually kind of dead against you anyway, so might not even matter. But you get the intel nonetheless. Cool. So yeah, BLS is going to get shuffled back. Mickey Cast, not really too much to do here. Probably just set Jar, set MST, pass is the play. And that's what we'll see. Cooler going to draw for turn. Going to go fire off that Rhoda and grab a Donzalug, so grabbing that Dark that they need to summon that Sork. And you also know your opponent has no way of stopping a Donzalug attack this turn, thanks to the scouting with the dust shoot. So you can freely just go and hit in for 14 and rip a card out of the opponent's hand, which is pretty nice. So that's what we're going to see. 14k in. Mickey Cast, you got to make the decision of do you want to jar now to maybe protect something in your hand or not. I think you probably don't really need to, though. Yeah, take the 14. Your hand isn't super duper good, so you're fine with one of them getting hit. And then keep the jar card more safe there. Yeah, Zaborg into the grave. Not the end of the world for Mickey Cast, but Donzalug plussing here is pretty nice for Cooler, and they're off to a solid start here with the Thunder Dragon into Dust Shoot, into Donzalug connecting and ripping out a card. So Mickey Cast really on the back foot here. Cooler setting a back row into known Mystical Space Typhoon, so definitely trying to bait something there. And it is just that Call of the Haunted, which I think is fair. You don't really have any good targets right now, and might as well clear the way for some of your other back row later on. Mickey cast. Gonna go set a monster and then activate Jar of Greed. So playing around Trap Dust Shoot, which we know Cooler is playing at least one copy of, by setting the monster before activating the Jar of Greed, which isn't too bad. A little bit awkward though, because it forces you to use your normal summon before you get to see the extra card. But if it's like something really good, like a Gravekeeper Spy or something that you would just see yourself setting all the time anyway, you don't really lose too much by playing around Dust Shoot here. Mickey Cast could draw something good off of this as well, and they draw into an Upstart Goblin. Okay, so really churning through the deck at rapid speed right now. Not too bad. They're just going to pass there. If that is like a Gravekeeper Spy, pretty nice way to wall the Dawn Zalug. Recoup a little bit of the card advantage lost to the Zalug activation. But Cooler, you're still in a pretty solid spot here. Nonetheless. Gonna go set a monster, set a back row. Okay, not attacking in, so potentially playing around. You know, if it is Spy, maybe you don't want it to flip and get the activation off. Maybe you have like a Raigeki break or something to just pop it in standby phase. That's likely what we're going to see out of Cooler here. Yes, we're going to get Raigeki break using one of those Thunder Dragons as discard fodder. The classic combo of Thunder Dragon and Raigeki break. We'll pop the set, and it hits a Spirit Reaper. Okay, so could have crashed in with the Dawn Zalug without really much of anything happening, but able to pop it there. And at least get it out of the way. So, not a bad play. Mickey Cast, though, you know one of the back rows gone. This back row here has been here since turn 1, and I, of course, just moused over it, and now we know it's Mirror Force, but it is what it is. Mickey Cast does not know that it's Mirror Force, but you could probably have a decent hunch that it's something like that because it's just been set and stuck around for so long. Mickey Cast is going to go set a monster and then fire off that Nobleman of Crossout. Now, notably, Cooler did set this monster into known Nobleman, so potential mind games here. Running something out into known MST, getting it hit in the Call of the Hunted, and then running out something into known Nobleman of Crossout. It is a Knight Assailant, okay. So Knight Assailant in a warrior sort of list here is kind of interesting, but I like the brew here from Cooler. Both players will get their Knight Assailant Spanish if they're playing any. Looks like Mickey Cast doesn't play any, so it makes me think that this is even closer to just being Chaos Control, or I guess it could just be Warrior running Spirit Reaper and Chaos Sork. Maybe it's like a Chaos Warrior mirror match. That could be kind of fun. Cooler here, though. Another set monster to deal with. You already utilized a Raigeki break to deal with the first one, so you might be out of gas to deal with that. Just going to go attack in for 14. And it is a Sangan. Okay, so Mickey Cast is going to be able to get a search off of that Sangan. Spirit Reaper hitting the grave last turn did make Chaos live for Mickey Cast, by the way. And we know that there's Sork in hand as well. Which I forgot to mention last turn, but Mickey Cast choosing not to go out with the Sork last turn, despite it being live, is an interesting play. But Mickey Cast grabbing that Serpent off of Sangan, pretty standard play for sure. Cooler here, we're going to go Tribute set, likely a Thunder Dragon, because there was still one remaining in hand. A little bit interesting of a play there. But I guess just wanting to get a Dark Engrave to fuel that Chaos Sorcerer that we also know in hand. So both players have Chaos in hand and the resources to play them. So in scenarios like this, it's oftentimes going to be like, who plays it first is kind of at a disadvantage, because then your Sork can get answered by the opponent's Sork, right? But Mickey Cast, or Cooler knows that Mickey Cast has a live Sork. Mickey Cast does not know that Cooler has a live Sork. So advantage Cooler here, thanks to that Trap Dust Shoot from a while ago. They know that they can hold their Sork to get max value and banish their opponent's Chaos Monster. Whereas Mickey Cast, maybe you can have an inkling that that's the case, because otherwise Tribute set for Thunder Dragon just to get a Dark Engrave doesn't really make too much sense. But there's an... You know, there is a world where you do this without having Chaos in hand, I guess. But I guess Mickey Cast, if you're paying attention, you might be able to make the read that there is Chaos in hand, and that'll make you a little bit less likely to want to go and summon your own out just yet. Mickey Cast, yeah, just going to set a monster, so not blinking first. I like being patient here. Cooler definitely has to be patient, knowing 100% that Mickey Cast has the live Sork. Ready to flip summon Thunder Dragon, just going to go attack the set monster, which is a Dekoichi, so that's just going to cycle for a card for Mickey Cast. Seeing a ton of their deck so far this game, not too bad. I guess Cooler has seen even more somehow. Or I guess the Thunder Dragons and then the Night Assailant getting knocked helped as well. Plus Rhoda. Yeah, so not really too much draw power out of Cooler, but just thinning their deck through stuff like Thunder Dragons and Knocks and stuff like that. Cooler here going to add another set monster to the board, keeping that Sork in hand. I think that makes sense. Mickey Cast draws into a Graceful Charity with that Sinister in hand that they search on the Sangan, so this is pretty strong. Going to be able to go up a card here at minimum. We're going to discard Serpent and a Dekoichi. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then they have the second copy of Nobleman of Crossroad on the deck to go and banish this set monster, which was a Gravekeeper Spy. So both players going to banish some spies from their deck. Looks like Cooler is just running the 2 copies. And Mickey Cast also running 2, or maybe has 1 in hand. All right. So both players on the Gravekeeper Spy technology. Definitely makes sense for Mickey Cast if you're running Zaborg, because it's just a good way to maintain tribute fodder on the field. But pretty strong play here for Mickey Cast, getting the Graceful plus Sinister combo to go up a card, and then knocking a spy. You still have this Thunder Dragon applying pressure to you, but it's not the end of the world. And now you're going to go fire off this Sork. So Mickey Cast blinking first. You're going to be able to get some value here by banishing this Thunder Dragon. But Cooler can, on the crackback, summon their own Sork and banish the Sork and probably have a little bit of an advantage, unless Mickey Cast has like a Solemn or something to protect theirs. Going to set a back row, though, so not going to be 100% success rate for Cooler here. Got to be a little bit worried. Oh, but they just have MST to pop the back row. It is just a bluff set trap dust shoot, not anywhere close to live. So you're kind of fine with that if you're Mickey Cast, trading a dead card for a live card. But now your back row is completely clear, and Cooler can come in and summon their Sork second, banish your Sorcerer, and definitely take control of the game pretty significantly. And yeah, that's a classic kind of Chaos Mirror dynamic, is whoever blinks and summons their own Chaos Monster first can sometimes find themselves at a disadvantage because last Chaos Monster standing wins, essentially, right? I know it's not always that simple, but that's definitely seems how this particular game is going to play out, and there is some truth to that heuristic. Cooler going to go ahead and summon that Sorcerer. Yep, banish the other one. Ooh, and they have a Blade Knight as follow-up here with no cards in hand, so full 2,000 attack points. Going to put a serious clock here on Mickey Cast. And, yeah, really on the back foot here. Going to be able to recur that Serpent next turn, realizing the value off of that Graceful Charity, but a little bit tough. Has to make the call as well. You've done a good job playing around Dust Shoot all game since the first turn, but grabbing Serpent here when this back row is untested, I guess this could be a Dust Shoot, so Mickey Cast potentially playing into it. We know it's a Mirror Force, but now they know that it's not a Dust Shoot. Okay. We're going to go main phase 1. Tribe Infecting Virus is a really, really strong play here with the known Serpent in hand. All right. It's going to be able to blow up that Chaos Sorcerer for free. Discard a Tsukuyomi to trade 1-for-1 with that Blade Knight. So really strong play. Resting control back over the board. And now we're going to get in for 1,600. Cooler's going to take it. Choosing to not activate the Mirror Force is a little bit interesting, but Naked Tribe Infecting Virus is pretty weak. There are plenty of cards in the deck that can kind of beat over that. You've got Breaker, you've got another Chaos Monster, you've got Tsukuyomi potentially as well. So holding onto the Mirror Force here, I think is fine. You have plenty of life points to kind of try and get more value out of your Mirror Force, so no need to panic right now. Mickey Cast is going to pass, though, with having a really, really strong turn with the Tribe just completely wiping out the board and starting to apply pressure. Cooler. Ooh, top deck BLS is insane. Oh, man. Yeah, that totally works. Sork hitting the grave is the dark that Cooler needed to go make their next Chaos play live. And this is pretty close to game. 200 life points away from just winning. Yeah, so just attack over the Tribe, hit for 14, and then hit for 3,000. We'll drop Mickey Cast all the way to 200. Gotta feel a little bad if you're Mickey Cast here. You played super well. You had a really big turn with that Tribe Infecting Virus there, but top deck BLS is quite strong when neither player has really any cards hanging around at this point. Gonna pass there, Mickey Cast. Facing lethal on board, last chance to really do anything. They can grab that Serpent, which can maybe wall out, although you could just go attack BLS over the Serpent and then attack directly if you don't want to play around any sort of back row. So Mickey Cast, what's the plan? Okay, so we're going to go, and confirming that Mickey Cast does seem to be running little bit of chaos control here. They're going to set most likely that Sinister, yep, and then Metamorphosis into Thousand Eyes Restrict and steal the BLS. So really nice play here, using the couple more cards that they have an advantage to get a nice little 1-2 combo off. Stealing this BLS and now applying some really serious pressure to Cooler. I think if you're Cooler, though, now you definitely Mirror Force, because then it opens up the ability to just top deck a monster and hit for game. Mickey Cast, I think you definitely still have to attack here anyway, because you're on 200, so you're kind of up against the clock. But now Cooler is in a straight top deck scenario, and any monster in the deck that is summonable pretty much wins. Chaos is not live. No Darks Engrave, but lots of stuff that could potentially win the game here for Cooler. Mickey Cast does have a back row, though. Give Cooler at least one more thing to think about. Cooler draws Graceful Charity, so that's a pretty good way to draw into a monster. Okay. Let's see, we're going to discard Torrential, Heavy Storm, show me a monster. Pot of Greed, so Graceful into pot. Pretty good. Draw a couple cards. And then Normal Summon Sinister Serpent for the game. This is probably one of the best cards to have drawn in this scenario because it sticks around and can threaten the lethal next turn, even into like a Mirror Force, right? So finding the perfect combo of cards here, Graceful into pot, into Sinister, attack for game with the Sinister, and yeah, that's going to be game one going to Cooler with some crazy top decks there. Mickey Cast, I think, played pretty well here on this, definitely, it's like Chaos, we got Chaos Control versus, like, Warrior Chaos, I guess. So Mickey Cast definitely on the defensive here, was able to stall out decently for a while and try and turn the corner, but Cooler had some pretty insane top decks there to close it out and played well on their own accord, of course. And able to close it out there just with the little Sinister poke for 300. Mickey Cast, though, going to be able to go first here in game 2. We'll try to control the board a little bit more than they were able to in that first game, protect the life points a little bit more. Didn't see a single Scapegoat all game, which you see the Metamorphosis in the deck, so you got to assume that it's probably kicking around there. Opening a Delinquent Duo, though, is definitely quite nice, so gonna likely go up a card here, depending on what Cooler has in hand. Going to snipe their opponent's Delinquent Duo. Nice, so making sure that that will not be able to be used against them. And then Cooler is going to discard a Mystical Space Typhoon. Okay, so hitting a couple powerful, limited spells, turn one with this duo. Pretty happy with that if you're Mickey Cast. They're just going to go set a couple back row pass, but you're up a card already, so that's quite nice. Cooler here. Going to get hit by Trap Dust Shoot, the classic duo plus shoot combo, leaving the opponent at exactly 4 cards in hand. And we will see what Cooler is rocking with here. Pretty good hand, though. They got Donzalug, Tsukuyomi, Pot of Greed, and Call of the Haunted. Okay, so that pot's definitely going to come through. If you're Cooler, you probably just spin back the Donzalug, because Tsukuyomi can't really be summoned into an empty board. But that pot's going to come through. 2 unknown cards that Mickey Cast will not be able to account for. You know about the Call and you know about the Tsukuyomi, but those are 2 cards that aren't, like, the most backbreaking, especially right now, early on in the game without anything in the grave. But Dust Shoot just going 1 for 1 is totally fine, especially if Mickey Cast doesn't have an out to the Donzalug. You definitely want to, make sure it can't connect and start gaining advantage like we saw from Cooler in the first game. But Cooler here definitely going to fire off that pot. I hope they shuffled their deck. I'm going to assume they did. Yeah, they drew into a Graceful Charity. So pot into Graceful here. Pretty good. And then you can... Graceful is also quite good into Dust Shoot because you can discard some of the known cards that your opponent saw off the Dust Shoot, making your hand a little bit more secretive, right? So we're going to discard the known Tsukuyomi and also a Torrential Tribute, which is a little bit... when you're the beatdown deck, sometimes it can get really awkward. It's kind of a situational card when you are the aggressive player against a control deck, so I understand discarding it here when there's not a clear and obvious use for it just now. Drew into a Thunder Dragon. Okay, not too bad. Grab a couple more of those guys. And then we're going to set a back row pass. Very well could be that Call of the Haunted with really just the Thunder Dragon as a target, but that's honestly not terrible. Just if you need a clock here to start applying some pressure. I think that's fine. Mickey Cast. Let's see. What's the plan? Drawn to a Thunder Dragon of their own. Cool, so dueling Thunder Dragons here quite early in the game. Both players will get 2 copies of that in their hand, sticking around waiting to be used as discard fodder or maybe hit the board and apply some pressure to the opponent. Thunder Dragon as a card, as a monster, definitely a lot better for Cooler here because Mickey Cast... Well, because Cooler plays a lot of warrior monsters that are just naturally bigger than the Thunder Dragon, so the 1600 attack stat line isn't super strong. Whereas against like a Chaos Control or Chaos Turbolist, 1600 attack is actually pretty relevant and pretty powerful. So Cooler, even if that's your only call of the haunted target, is actually a pretty decent one in this scenario. Mickey Cast, though, just going to fire that Thunder Dragon and pass the turn. So just the back row here, not committing anything to the board. Cooler just going to draw pass as well, so might be in for a long one here. Mickey Cast just going to add a back row pass. Okay. Cooler, same thing. Mickey Cast sets a monster, not having seen any sort of Nobleman or Minecon or anything like that just yet. So could be a little bit risky, but maybe trying to bait something out. Cooler's going to go for a Mind Control here on the set, with some very good stuff here in Grave to grab if it is a Magician of Faith. It is a Gravekeeper Spy, which we know that both players are running, so still a high-value Mind Control out of Cooler here. Going to be able to summon one of their own spies and prevent Mickey Cast from summoning one of theirs. So not too bad. Going to go flip that spy, summon their own in attack position. I think that makes sense when you're kind of the beatdown deck. You want to be able to poke in for some damage when you can. So you can just go ahead, poke for 12. Kind of plays around Mirror Force as well, because it would be, Mickey Cast would be killing their own spy. So yeah, poking for 12. Past turn, Mickey Cast gets their spy back. Both in attack position, so Mickey Cast could go for a trade if they just want to remove the pressure out of Cooler. Or you could just park that spy in defense position and hope it walls out for eternity, which is definitely also possible. Yeah, Mickey Cast going for the more conservative play. Going to swap that spy to defense position, try and wall out all the aggression for Cooler until they have enough of their, control pieces, and then it's just not super risky for them. I like the play, right? Recognizing that you have the inevitability as the control deck in this matchup, so might as well just sit behind a spy for as long as Cooler will allow you to. Cooler, though, does have an Exiled Force here, which is quite a nice way to deal with that spy. It's going to normal summon it, tribute it to its effect to pop that spy. Now the wall is gone, and Cooler can poke in for at least 12 here. Can I get in for 12? Ooh, but Mickey Cast does have a Scapegoat. Nice, so that will start to wall out. You're already down to 5,800, so definitely like protecting your life points from here on out. It's a pretty decent-sized gap between the players at the moment. So Scapegoat's going to wall out the spy for a good while. Just going to kill one of the tokens, continue to apply a little bit of pressure, but Mickey Cast can kind of chill for a little bit now, knowing that their life points are safe unless Cooler has a, like a tribe infecting virus or an Asura Priest or something. Mickey Cast, let's see. We're going to go Graceful Charity. Not too bad. You've got double Thunder Dragon in hand, so you can achieve that combo, go up a full real card. Pretty nice. Gonna discard those Thunder Dragons, yeah. So it gets a nice full grip of new cards, pretty much. Into Pot of Greed. Cooler's not the only one who can go Trinity into Trinity, right? And Mickey Cast has been able to achieve full Trinity this game with the duo on turn 1, into a delayed Graceful into Pot, plus Thunder Dragon as well. So pretty solid. We're gonna get Ring of Destruction to blow up the Gravekeeper Spy. So maybe going for a little bit of an aggressive play here. Generally not the most amazing trade unless you're going to go push aggressively, but we definitely could see this out of Mickey Cast. Especially if there's like Heavy Storm here to blow up the back row. And then start to make some progress on Cooler's life points. That'd be cool. Okay, we're going to get Spirit Reaper. Nice. I guess you would probably want to... I guess you don't... There's no Torrential to play around, so I think this order is fine. Generally, you would want to normal summon the Reaper first, give the opponent a chance to Torrential while they still have a monster on board before you go for the ring, but Torrential, like I said, is in Grave already, so it doesn't really matter. We'll see if Spirit Reaper can connect, though. Cooler is going to have to Mirror Force that, so just conceding the 1-for-1 trade. Trading Reaper for Mirror Force is pretty fine if you're making Cast, so that's a powerful trap that now you know you don't need to play around. And now you know you don't have to play around Tribute or Mirror Force, which is really strong. Now you can kind of safely apply pressure with multiple monsters at once without really worrying about getting super blown out. Cooler having to Mirror Force this Reaper to protect their hand from just getting something ripped out by the Reaper. So little minor win there for Mickey Cast, who is, if you had to pick one side, I think you'd rather pick them at this point. Just, you're up a couple cards, you are the control deck kind of in this mid game, with Cooler not really being able to establish any sort of pressure, but Cooler definitely not out of this completely. This is more of a Chaos Warrior deck. So yeah, you have the aggression from running the Warrior stuff, but you have a little bit more grindier of a long game, with the kind of chaos backup strategy that you have, especially, you got Thunder Dragons, you can cash in for some good advantage later, probably running some Magician of Faiths and things like that as well. So not out of it just yet, although Mickey Cast, I think, is definitely a little bit better at the moment. Mickey Cast gonna set a back row pass. Cool, sitting behind these 3 goat tokens. Cooler does have the Tribe Infecting Virus, though, which is a pretty nice way to deal with these goats if it's allowed to resolve. You have the Thunder Dragons in hand as discard fodder, so this is pretty much free. Gonna go ahead and discard Night Assailant, so super duper free. You can go ahead and bounce that Spy back to your hand. Not too bad. And that's what we'll see. So as soon as I say Mickey Cast was looking good, Cooler comes in and with a nice little play here to kind of blow up the board. And now you can start applying pressure here with this Tribe Infecting Virus. Mickey Cast will drop all the way to 3,000, so this Tribe representing a 2-turn clock. Mickey Cast has a ton of cards in hand. You achieve the Graceful plus Thunder Dragon combo, so they're most likely all real cards. You have Chaos Live, etc., etc. But you're down to 3k, and you can be up all the cards in the world, but if your opponent drops you down to 0, it's not going to matter. So a little bit on the back foot here for Mickey Cast for sure. We'll see if they can start to stabilize, but Cooler doing a really good job so far, applying pressure without really going behind super far on card advantage so far this game. Mickey Cast just going to go set a monster, set a back row pass. Okay, so trying to wall out this Tribe, most likely. Cooler has a Nobleman of Crossout here, though, to keep the pressure up. I'll go banish a Magician of Faith, so that's pretty big. Mickey Cast having a lot of really powerful, full Trinity Engraved to pick from, plus a Scapegoat, which isn't great with the Tribe on board, but is pretty good for the deck in general if you were able to deal with that Tribe. So Faith getting hit here is pretty good for Cooler. Both players will banish theirs in the deck. Looks like they're both at least running 2 copies. And this will pave the way for Tribe to continue to get in for 1,600 damage. Ooh, Mickey Cast is forced. Okay. So feeling forced to go ahead and use this Scapegoat just to block the damage. And now, main phase 2, Cooler can just go ahead and Tribe effect to blow up all of the tokens. So this is literally just trading 1 card for 1,600 life, which is not the best trade, right? So Cooler looking really good here. Mickey Cast in an ideal world where he had more life. When your opponent has a Tribe sitting on board, you'd wait until the end phase to activate the Scapegoat. So Cooler wouldn't get the chance to activate the Tribe before you can go Metamorphosis or something, or do something with your goat tokens. But feeling forced to just do it here to prevent this 1,600 points of damage coming through. And this is a pretty big win for Cooler, who despite, getting a little bit outgrinded in terms of cards from Mickey Cast, has just been able to continuously apply pressure this game through all of Mickey Cast's stuff, and is getting rewarded now with forcing Mickey Cast to make a suboptimal play just to protect their life points. You can see the importance of life points, the importance of board presence, the importance of pressure, even when you're, not playing a grindy control deck. So yeah, Tribe here, gonna get walled out by the Scapegoats. We can go main phase 2, discard that last Thunder Dragon to pop all those goat tokens. What happened to the other Thunder Dragon? Oh, do they only have... Oh, no, weird. Oh, no, sorry, they discarded the Night Assailant to the first Tribe activation. I forgot that they didn't discard the Thunder Dragon. So they actually have a 3rd Thunder Dragon still in hand to get maybe another Tribe activation off for basically free. It's pretty nice. Yeah, so main phase 2 just going to blow up all the goat tokens. And Mickey Cast, unfortunate trade, You still have 3,000 life points to your name, though. You're not out of it yet, but you have to answer this tribe. It's just applying so much pressure at the moment. Let's see. We're going to go Raigeki Break, pop the set, which I think we all pretty much knew was Call of the Haunted. Cooler, interestingly, having not used that at any point. But really only a couple real targets there. The Exiled, which is good to revive, but didn't really have a use for it because they had the Minecon and the Nox ready to go. And I guess just thought they didn't need the Thunder Dragon for the extra pressure at any point. So we're going to get Raigeki Break, discard Zaborg to pop the Call of the Haunted just to clear out the back row. And we'll see if Mickey Cast can now try to start turning the corner. We're going to go Chaos. We're going to summon Black Luster Soldier. Okay. Going to go beat over the tribe and get in for 4,400 damage total with BLS's effect giving it a second attack. And yeah, your back was a little bit up against the wall, but deciding, okay, now is the time to make the play. Let me go summon this BLS, start beating in, and now you're passing with lethal on board pretty much out of nowhere. And Cooler, you might have just had the rug pulled out from under you. You still have 4 cards left, but this is a pretty strong play out of Mickey Cast. Adding a set monster to the board as well to give Cooler another potential threat to worry about. It very well could be a Magician Faith. I know it got knocked recently, but Mickey Cast had a nice full grip of cards when the Faith got knocked, so it's not super unlikely that they were to have a third Faith in hand when that happened. So you really have to be worried about this if you're Cooler. And Mickey Cast has a back row here as well to protect everything. So really strong play from Mickey Cast, starting to turn the corner against Cooler. We'll see what the counterplay here is, though. DD Warrior Lady is a decent one. You have enough life to just crash with the BLS and banish both of them. But you do have a back row to worry about. We're just going to go straight to battlefield. Okay, we're going to get DD Warrior Lady, kill the set monster, which is just a tribe-infecting virus. Okay, so Mickey Cast getting a little bit cute there. Hoping Cooler would kind of like freak out, I guess, and do something rash to do with that set. But Mickey Cast is just going to end up going minus from the DD Warrior Lady, or just beating over the tribe. Okay. And presumably, if you go DD Warrior Lady, attack over the set, you probably have something else to deal with the BLS, I would hope. So we're gonna get main phase 2 Chaos Sorcerer, banish the BLS. Nice. Cool. So Cooler did have the out here. So answering to attack, Chaos for Chaos. Just like first game, whoever summons the first Chaos is sometimes at a disadvantage because then it's a sitting duck for the opponent's Chaos monster. Mickey Cast definitely felt forced to do that, though, because they were under so much pressure from the tribe-infecting virus, and did get a nice hit in for damage, but Cooler had the counterplay ready with their own Chaos plus this DD Warrior Lady, and now Cooler passing with lethal on board, so answering Mickey Cast's attempted lethal, presenting their own, really back and forth game here. We'll see if Mickey Cast can now deal with this pretty formidable board. Let's see. Snatch Seal is definitely a way to do it. No back row here for Cooler, so you can safely just do this. Gonna go grab that Chaos Sorcerer. You can try to crash into the DD Warrior Lady, get a little bit more damage in, or you could just banish the DD Warrior Lady and attempt to, threaten a lot of damage next turn. Gonna play it safe, gonna keep this Sork around, banish the DD Warrior Lady. And then we're gonna go Metamorphosis. Nice. So gonna go into, presumably, a Ryu Senshi. That works, right? Yeah, both level 6. Cool. Yeah, so Ryu Senshi is a pretty strong monster here. It's a 2-turn clock on its own. Most importantly, right, it can attack this turn because Sork had used its effect. And it doesn't have a Snatch Seal attached to it, so it actually, Cooler won't gain the life off of it, and also back row removal won't just give Cooler their board back. So a little bit of a safety Metamorphosis here to continue to apply pressure and have a board that's less fragile. So nice play out of Mickey Cast. I like it. And now this Ryu Senshi can hit in for 2k, but Mickey Cast hasn't used a normal summon yet either at this turn. So pretty much any monster in the deck could just be in here for game. Does not have a monster to add to this board, though. So we're just going to get in for 2k, drop Cooler down to 400. You do have 2 activations left of the Ryu Senshi effect, which is definitely relevant when you're this late into the game and you haven't seen... Well, I guess Mirror Force and Torrential are both already gone, so not too much that you would want to be negating with the Ryu Senshi, I guess, but could be relevant. And most important thing is now, Mickey Cast presented lethal. Cooler dealt with it, presented lethal of their own. Mickey Cast did the same thing right back. So yeah, tit for tat for tit for tat. Cooler, balls in your court. What can we do? Slam another Chaos Sorcerer. That can definitely do it. Yep, you still have one light left in grave, that last remaining Thunder Dragon. And I guess you have a Thunder Dragon in hand as well if you are really desperate for a light. And yeah, Sorga's going to be able to banish this Ryusenchi once more and add a set monster to the board as well. So maybe lethal depending on what this set is. But yeah, once again, both players just answering these haymakers turn after turn. And somehow they still have resources left to use. It's been kind of crazy. It was such like a lulled game for a while. Cooler was just kind of poking in with this tribe, getting some tribe activations off, pressuring the life points a little. But ever since the last like 3 turns, both players have been just sending out their bosses back to back to back to back, and it's been really cool seeing them, like, clash in like kaiju warfare, basically. Mickey Cast here though. Ball back in your court. Can you answer Sork plus set monster? Now, likely not a Magician of Faith, because that was knocked a few turns ago now. But definitely could be. I guess we knew about the Gravekeeper Spy in hand. We hadn't seen that. That was grabbed back off the Night Assailant, so decent chance that it is that Spy. That's probably what you'll operate off of if you're Mickey Cast, but it could be some other stuff. And notably, if it is a Gravekeeper Spy, that does represent lethal next turn, right? So you got to be really wary about that. Mickey Cast has the knock here on the set monster. It is that Gravekeeper Spy. So both players will thin their deck a little bit with those. And just going to pass. So dealing with the lethal, but seems like someone finally ran out of gas to completely flip over the board, right? We've seen players able to enter the opponent's board and then present a threat of their own. But now that players have kind of run each other out of resources, all Mickey Cast is able to do is defend against lethal in the short term, but not present a threat of their own to take the tempo back, and only able to answer half of Cooler's board. And this might be the point where Cooler can kind of take things away now that Mickey Cast might be a little bit, out of resources. Cooler has a reinforcement of the army too, so just gas after gas after gas. Yeah, and you can go up and search lethal damage here with this Rhoda. Gonna grab a Donzalug, which is pretty nice. Okay. Mickey Cast, I'm sure, not wanting that to connect as well. It's probably a real card, right? I don't think they don't have, we don't see Sinister or anything. We haven't seen that yet. And, if the hand was anything real, it probably would have been played, one would have to think. But we will see that Donzalug come through. Gonna go get in for 14, so playing around Mirror Force by not going for the lethal shot with Sork, just saying, okay, if you Mirror Force me, I don't really care because I still have the Chaos Sorcerer around. If you let it through and you want to save your Mirror Force to get a little bit more greedy, I'm going to rip a card out of your hand, which is also not great. So kind of a catch-22 situation here for Mickey Cast if they do have like a Battle Trap. Could just be Scapegoat though, which is pretty nice, just to wall out some damage. I think one of your few paths back into this game as Mickey Cast, besides another Chaos monster, is if you have like exactly Scapegoat meta, right? That could be pretty strong. Oh, but no, this Battle Trap is not, or this back row is not real, and Donzalug is just going to get in for 14 and rip out a Heavy Storm out of Mickey Cast's hand. All right, so yeah, Cooler, I think, has very much ran Mickey Cast out of gas here. Donzalug effect to make that abundantly clear, and now once again passing with lethal. Donzalug on his own is a 2-turn clock as well, so yeah, looking really good for Cooler here so far this game. And yeah, Mickey Cat's just going to draw for a turn. Does not have anything to do with this. That back row was just a bluff set metamorphosis. So maybe not running the third Scapegoat or just hadn't found it yet. Not finding any battle traps. And yeah, back and forth game there, that game too. But Cooler had just like 1 or 2 more plays left in the tank that Mickey Cast could not deal with and able to take that game 2 and the entire match there. So pretty cool Chaos Warrior list. Taken down a little bit of Chaos Control featuring Zaborg the Thunder Monarch. So 2 pretty cool decks. Cool match. Cooler taking it down pretty nicely. 2-0, some good gameplay out of both players. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will catch you all next time.